Hey everyone, this is episode number 61 of New Slang. I'm Thomas Mooney, and on this episode, I'm joined by Wade Bowen. This interview right here is actually probably about a month old or so. We recorded it last time Wade was in town playing here, and I've said this about a lot of different people, but it's definitely true about Wade. I'm totally indebted to him up until this point right now in my career because he's just done a whole lot for me. I think, of course, I've earned a whole lot of respect from songwriters and artists over the years for what I've been doing here with this music journalist kind of stuff. But when you first start out when you're doing this early on, no one really knows what you're doing and if you're going to be good at it or not, and what your intentions are. No one in the industry, if you will, really knows any of that. But Wade was always one of those guys who he'd always at least meet me halfway on stuff, interviews and availability and all that kind of stuff. Even this interview right here, he's just recently just had the surgery on his vocal cords and everything, and it's not necessarily something that he had to do. So and another great example is just with his last album, Solid Ground, that came out in the early part of the year, and that album, it's a very intense kind of listen. You of course have like these really great just prototypical Wade songs, like Day of the Dead and So Long 6th Street and songs like that, but there's really some weighty ones in there as well that can be difficult to peel back and reveal all the insides of those songs. There's some weight and depth to them, and those can be difficult to talk about. What I've kind of said about some of these songs is that Wade makes you stare at those difficult situations, and in turn, they make you question yourself about stuff that's in life. And anyways, though, like back whenever I was writing for Wide Open Country, I was doing these track guides to new albums, and one of them was for Solid Ground, and so that entailed trying to get as much detail and story out of the material. And so Wade and I probably sat there for about an hour and a half going over each song and pulling the strings, if you will, that related back to old songs of his and the themes and meanings of these songs. And since this is, quote, Wade's Texas album, what he's pulling from as far as other Texas artists and everything. A lot of folks, they just really don't go that far into detail. And they don't want to let any of those secrets out. So anyways, this is just a long way of saying that Wade's been really, really good to me over these years. And speaking of writing, last time you listened to the podcast, you heard me mentioning about Wide Open Country changes, and I'll be doing some writing over at Rolling Stone now, over on Rolling Stone Country. My first little piece was just a little snippet. I wrote a little short thing on a songwriter named Davis Nix for the Artist to Watch list. It came out just on Monday. So, if you want to, go check that out. Davis, he just released this EP called Part 1 earlier this month. It's really, really solid. He's the super, super easy comparison to for him is the Adam Hood, Brent Cobb kind of stuff, that southern laid back kind of groove, and there's a little bit of Hayes Carl in there and some John Prine references. And anyways, go read that on Rolling Stone. Go listen to Davis's EP wherever you can. It's called Part 1. That also implies that there will be a Part 2 coming soon, so go do that. Songwriter competition finals, that's going to be this next Monday, November 5th. They start at 8 p.m. There's 15 songwriters competing. Those 15 are Derek Bowl, Alicia Morgan, Juliet McConkey, Julia Alexander, Sam Choate, Connor Martin, Bob Simpson, Trey Rowe, Lindsay Lane, Lucas Tomlin, Mitchell Ferguson, Morgan Rutherford, Kenna Danielle, Taya Lachey, and Caitlin Sparks. That's 15 of them. They'll be playing 2 songs each, and it's free. So come out next Monday at Blue Light here in Lubbock, and watch these 15 artists play a total of 30 songs, maybe more. I don't know. Before that, though, you should definitely be really excited about this weekend coming up in at Blue Light here in Lubbock. Friday and Saturday is going to be a double header put on by Red Shahan. Zach Nytomp, he's going to be opening both nights. And then Sunday is going to be really, really, really great as well. 2 Lubbock legends, Brandon Adams and Ross Cooper, are going to be doing a song swap on Sunday. So, yeah, basically come out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, every night if you want. I don't know. For more information and schedule stuff, go to bluelightlubbock.com. That is bluelightlubbock.com. Follow me on all the social media stuff if you want. It's _New Slang on Twitter and Instagram. Just New Slang on Facebook. Drop me a line at newslang.editors@gmail.com. newslang.editors@gmail.com. Subscribe, rate, review, and share the podcast on iTunes. And it's like 5 seconds to do, so please do me that favor. If you had a podcast, I would do that for you. So, do that for me. Yeah, okay, enough of all this stuff. Here is the interview with Wade Bowen.
So I shouldn't even be talking. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you guys were
definitely shouldn't be singing, but we got Justin filling in for us on drums, because Brian had his baby. So
yeah, I saw you post about that on all the social media.
Yeah. Yep. So a couple of weeks with Justin Pollard on the drums is going to be fun.
Yeah, you guys were up at Medicine Stone just yesterday, weren't you?
Yeah, last night.
How was that? It
was awesome, man. What a great setup.
Is that your first year there?
Yeah, and man, great setup and a great lineup. It was the main stage was Reed Southall Band, Co Wetzel, then us, and then Randy Rogers Band. And the tent inside had like Mickey and the Motor Cars after us, which was so much fun. And then the Vandaliers were up at a different place. It's a really cool music festival. You need to make it up there some year and check it out.
Yeah, I do.
You'd love it.
Yeah. Obviously, like with something like that, you guys are playing here the next night. You're on a bus and everything. So like, what's the general, I guess, protocol? Like what time do you guys leave there?
We left at 3 a.m.
3?
And got here, I don't know, 11, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that like a transitioning to that whenever, like, if you've been in a van for years and then you transition into the bus, obviously, like, you're able to leave at different times with it.
Oh, yeah.
What is that transition period like?
Well, first of all, you can never go back to a van. And that's what I try to tell these young kids that are jumping into buses, Parker, McCullum, and Co. and all these guys. Like, hey, y'all want you to understand, man, do it. It's fun. It's a great idea. But two things. It might break the bank.
Yeah.
And number 2, you can't ever go back. Or you'll have to get a whole new band and crew because they won't want to be in a van anymore after being in a bus. So the transition is really good going into a bus. I can't imagine what it's like going back into a van, But there's good and bad to both. When we get somewhere we're stuck, we have to find a ride. Thank God for Uber nowadays. Back when we first got in the bus, there was no Uber, so it was pretty much stuck everywhere. So when you're in a van, you can have the capability to travel and move around town a little easier and check some stuff out. But I used to sleep a lot better on the bus than I do now. I think I'm just getting older. But the goal is to leave at night after the show. So you sleep and you wake up in the next town and have a full day to enjoy. Because, everybody thinks, if we go to Boston or New York, wherever, man, it's cool. It must be awesome in that town, right? It's like, well, really, in all honestly, we don't really get to see very much, because we're doing this. Like here we are at Soundcheck today. And, I love Lubbock. I love running around Lubbock. And I have to hang around here and work, So it's a
every
all
town
day
looks
and all
the
night.
same inside this area right here.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And unless we're lucky enough for the venue to be in a really cool area where you can walk around, you're kind of shit out of luck.
Right. Especially like a town like Lubbock.
Yeah.
So sprawled out.
For sure.
Everything's a parking lot. So, I don't know. Getting back to like Medicine Stone though, those like the festival kind of thing. That's like everyone always thinks like being a musician, you're able to like go see your buddies play all the time, and that's not obviously the case because you're playing. So like in those festival settings, that's where you're able to really hang out and see other bands.
Yeah, for sure. The hanging out is so much fun, and seeing everybody else's shows is an absolute blast. And yeah, it really is a huge strength. And one of the reasons those festivals we look forward to them so much is because of those reasons. And Randy's one of my best friends in the universe, but I saw his band, and of course Randy and I live like a minute from each other, but it was crazy. Seeing his band and a lot of his crew guys, like, man, I haven't seen y'all, and I can't remember last time I saw y'all, and it seemed like it's been a year at least. And got to catch up with Brady Black and Jeffrey and Chops and all those guys, Les, and it's cool to just see them and hang out. And Co and I had a really good hang. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with Co Wetzel, and obviously you hear about him all the time because he's blowing up like crazy. But we went and got an IV together yesterday afternoon, and really got to visit with him about some cool stuff for a while, and he got up and sang with us last night, and just really liked that guy a lot. I figured I would. I've heard great things about him, but you always got to get your own opinion of people, and I got nothing but great things to say about Co.
That's a video series right there. The IV video.
Conversations during the IV. Yeah.
I hate needles, so like I could not do that.
Man, it's crazy. I used to hate needles so bad, and now I've gotten used to it. I even give myself my own allergy shots now.
Really?
Yeah. Like I've kind of just gotten over it. As with anything, you do it enough, I guess it just become immune to it.
Yeah. Co, he's what I've always I find like since he's such a polarizing artist in the scene, you got a whole lot of these older guys being like, not wanting the changing of the tide, right? All these like they don't understand. Why is this kid so big, right? And there's a lot of that talk, and then of course you got a whole lot of 18 to 25-year-old kids saying this is it right here, right? I find that entire aspect of him blowing up so quickly, and I mean like we say quickly, but it's not like he's just started making music last year or something. He's been playing music for a while.
Yeah, I didn't. He told me the other day he's been doing it 7 years. I mean, it's a pretty good while.
Yeah. So I think like the surprising thing that people would find is that he's so different off stage than he is on stage. As far as the, give me the bottle of whiskey, pool and shots. And of course you see like a bunch of videos of him. And this is one of those things I'm like, I don't understand like why you do it in the crowd. But like, have you seen anybody like throw a beer up at him like on stage? He's been hit by a couple like cans of beer, but what he does is he'll just grab it and finish it off and throw it back in the crowd. And like, I guess that's how you have to own it. But you know what I mean? Like,
man, we've all had beer thrown at us. I've never had the urge to drink it. I get pretty pissed. I don't think that's cool.
Yeah. No, I don't think either.
Hell, like Cody Cannon had that Jack Daniels handle thrown at him in Stillwater, Oklahoma, like 10 years ago. It knocked him out.
Man.
Into the show. But yeah, I get it. He is embracing his personality and what he's doing. He's young, and you never know how people are going to respond when they start experiencing some success. And I'm like I said, after hanging around him yesterday, I'm pretty proud of the way he's handling it. It seems like he does like to have a good time, and nothing wrong with that. If I was 26, he just turned 26, and if I was at 26, I was not as successful as that, and everybody handles it differently. Parker, same way. You just, for me, I just try to, hey, send them good vibes and be around them and try to tell them good stories and make sure I don't know, that part of me, I don't know why, but part of me wants to like take care of those guys, I say kids, they are kids. I want to take care of those kids. I don't want to sound like the old fucking fart, but I am older than them by a little bit. And so you always want to help them out, and especially the ones that are good and that are good people, you want to help them out and make sure they're trying to stay on the right path. And so, I don't know. Part of me wants to take care of them, and the other part, like, laughs how crazy it is, because I've been there.
Right. Yeah. Me and Co, we went and had breakfast one of the last times he was here, like at 3 a.m, kind of, just had a good conversation. It was
He's got it, man.
Yeah.
He's really, he's very quiet and reserved off stage, and he got up and sang Mood Ring with us last night and just took over the mic, and it was great. It's like, man, I love to see somebody have the ability to flip that switch and do that thing. It's cool.
When something like that happens, do you approach them, or like do like other people just kind of throw it out? See, like
getting on stage with me?
Yeah.
I asked him.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked him if there's anything else, and I don't really plan it out like I should. I probably should plan it out a lot more. But I hit up my tour manager and said, hey, tell Co if you see him or whatever, if he wants to jump up on anything, to feel free. We'd love to have him. And so he came back and said he wants to jump up on Mood Ring. And I was like, great, perfect. And he killed it. Mm-hmm. Did a great job. So, I mean, I love when people come up and sing. So there's artists and other songwriters out there listening. We're always welcome everybody that wants to jam, play an instrument, or come and sing a verse or something. I love that stuff. So
yeah, some Springsteen.
Yeah,
get something up there.
Get some Springsteen. Hell yeah, for sure.
You had surgery a while back. How's that been going? Like, what's that process like after that period of having to not sing?
Man, it's a hard answer because it's a mind fuck is what it is. Mm-hmm. All of it. And having what happened to me, I've learned that it's happened to a lot of people. Didn't really know that it happened to a lot of people, and my particular case was very rare, but you still have the same similar things that happen to you, like having to cancel shows without knowing it's coming up. And
right.
There was a time in there when I wasn't really sure if I was ever going to be able to sing again, if I was ever going to be on stage again. And so that's pretty heart-wrenching to like, damn, man, this is for real,
Right.
And it's pretty intense. It was a huge challenge, the biggest I've ever faced in my career. Had a great doctor, though, who got me back, and I actually came back sooner than he wanted me to, but I told him I was just broke. I couldn't handle more than 3 months off,
Mm-hmm.
Had to cancel Europe tour and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of cool gigs. My first show I had to cancel, which broke my heart, was the LJT, Larry Joe Taylor Festival. And at that time, nobody, even I, didn't really know what was going on. And for a guy who's been playing music for 20 years, and I've never canceled a show for my voice, not once. Mm-hmm. And the first one I have to cancel is Larry Joe Taylor Festival. I'm just brokenhearted, trying to get a hold of him out in the middle of nowhere. Hey, man, I'm so sorry I can't be there. And that just started 3 months of hell, 4 months of hell. But everybody, the band and crew and everybody, my family and everybody was so supportive and cool about it all. And as with everything, we found a way to get through it. It's been a shitty summer, a shitty year for the most part, for many, many reasons. So we're glad that hopefully most of that is behind us and we're moving on and getting back to just loving playing music again. And then voice so far is holding up. We just have to keep an eye on it. Probably will the rest of my life. Found out, we're not invincible like we think we are.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's pretty rough.
That's one of those things where, it's just like that. It can be something that you don't really think. I don't necessarily think it's one of those things that you take, that you've taken as just I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say here, taken for granted. But like a lot of people, take for granted like just your speaking voice, right? And of course, like when something like that, just when somebody tells you, oh, you may not be able to do this again, I can't imagine,
Yeah, I mean, you start having the nightmares of what am I going to do now? I don't have a backup plan and all that stuff, so it's pretty scary coming home to your kids or not leaving, canceling gigs and looking your kids in the eyes thinking, what am I going to do here? How am I going to figure this out? It's pretty scary stuff, but we got through it. I'm a very spiritual guy, so I just kind of let things happen, said my prayers, and let it work out. There's only so much in this world that you can, and in this life that you can control. The rest of it, you just have to react and respond and do the best you can.
Yeah, obviously you put a record out earlier this year. You've been calling it like your Texas record. Now it's one of those interesting things, and I think like you've said it. It's like you don't mention Texas by name throughout the whole thing, but it is like the Texas record. I think it's one of those things where it's probably good that you put it out now and not as like a 20-year-old, because you probably would have fallen into doing all the like the cliche kind of Texas stuff. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, especially back then. I was telling somebody last night. I can't remember who I was talking to, but we were talking about. I was talking to a guy that's actually writing a book right now about some red dirt Texas stuff, and he was asking me to talk about the old days. And it's funny, I was a dumbass when I was 20 and 25. That was when I was first starting out. Especially being from Lubbock, everybody was using all the hot producer was Lloyd Maines. And my dumb ass was like, well, I don't want to use him because everybody else is using him. I don't want to sound like everybody else. The dumbest decision I've ever done in my career, because it would have been so, especially now having worked with him, it would have been so beneficial to my career and just the knowledge he would have brought to me as a young 20-something-year-old. It would have been huge for me. But that's hindsight, always looking back. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. So, but yeah, I mean, he would have been the guy that would have made a pretty great Texas record for me as a 25-year-old, but there's no way I was writing songs of this caliber back then. I just couldn't do it then. I just didn't have it in me. Didn't know it yet, and the years have gone by of me learning about music, learning how to craft a song a lot more, but also having more influences come into my life. It's pretty cool that the record now stands. I think this record can stand the test of time and be something that will always be, welcomed in the Texas community. I think forever. I don't think it's a record that just symbolizes the time that we're in. I think it's one that can. It just symbolizes Texas in general, the music of Texas, and what makes it so great. What's always made it great. I mean, it's just it's really what we were going for, was something that could be timeless, for forever.
Right. I think like the bookends there of like it being really rocking. Like I kind of think of the record as being like a loud rocking record, but there's still these like really vulnerable, intimate moments that are just like really not necessarily small moments, but like that are very singer-songwritery. It's like that's like the 730 and like.
But that's what Texas is so. That's its biggest strength. Yeah, we have ZZ Top and we have great rock and blues and players and all. David Grissom and all these badasses. But we have Towns, we have Guy, and we have those songwriters that are the a lot of people don't know, but they just make up so much of the pride of our state and don't get enough credit for it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean that's my favorite person to be. That's my favorite artist to be. Is that emotional, sentimental, sad, sappy, slow style songs. Those are my favorite. I mean, I've yet to make a record just full of those, and I'm getting pretty close to pulling the trigger on that and just making a real dark, depressing record and saying screw the live show, screw everything. I just want to do this. But I've always had those moments, and I think, but what's crazy is those moments seem to be my fan favorites, like the ones that people really want to hear from me is when I say music with substance. The songs that I have with the most substance are usually the dreary, sad, dark. I don't ever actually go dark. I almost go dark, and then I kind of pull away from it a little bit.
7:30 is like that, and what other song? I wrote it down. I have my notes here. I'm sometimes always bad with song names, and then sometimes it's just like second nature. But like Broken Glass as well. Those feel like perhaps like some of the most vulnerable songs you've written ever. It feels like not even like walking in on a conversation between two people, but like just walking in on you talking to yourself, you know.
I think that those are the conversation songs to me are my favorite to write. They fit me the best. I think that's probably my biggest strength is not necessarily being the greatest poet that came out that walks around, but just trying to be conversational with the songs. That to me is what I love and what I feel like I'm best at. And you know, that's a great example of my favorite example maybe I've ever done of that is Say Anything, the song off of a record called The Given. And it's just like you say, like two people talking. I mean, that's all we are. I mean, we're two people talking right now. Everybody's two people talking, even if they're talking to themselves. You know, it's two people talking. And so I feel like that's just just the way that I relate. I mean, Broken Glass was written in the middle of the night. I literally sat in the dark room knowing that I'd said the wrong thing to my wife, knowing I'd said something that I can't take back. And there's very few things in the world that make you feel shittier. You know, there's very few things that make you feel worse than that, than saying something to someone you love that you know you can never get it back. You know, some of that stuff sticks forever. And so, I like to be vulnerable with my songs. I like to be open diary, and I feel like that's where I'm best. And that sometimes hurts the people I'm surrounded with, mainly my wife. You know, she probably doesn't like me talking about these things in open, in the open with our people that listen to our music and stuff. But man, if you've listened to my music and you haven't learned by now that that's who I am, then you haven't been listening right. You know, my wife, she hears like Anchor, and I'm, you know, one of two songs I've ever written that I was scared to death to play for her.
Yeah. And
she just took it and understood and accepted it and knows that's my life and that's the way that I write, and just she responded as I expected her to respond.
Yeah. So. It's almost like a, you know, with songwriters and their family, obviously it can be hard on family and relationships because, you know, you don't ever know necessarily when something's going to come out in a song, or like not even necessarily come out in a song that's real, but like something that can be taken as, you know what I mean? Like obviously you write as characters as well. And a lot of people sometimes will, you know, misanalyze what's going on. You know what I mean?
They interpret the characters in their own way. Yeah. And I think that's okay. It doesn't bother me that. I think that's the beauty of songs, is for people to interpret them. You know, I remember Garth Brooks saying one time that there was a record where he didn't do any videos when he was like the biggest in his career. I can't remember what was that like.
I'm not sure. Like maybe like with no videos. I'm trying to think of what
was that Blue album like.
Is that
anyway, one of the albums when he was like the biggest of his
Rope
career.
in the Wind?
Yeah. So he didn't do any videos for that. And I remember reading some interview where he said, I just feel like videos can create, like when I listen to a song, when someone listens to a song, they have the pictures in their head of what the characters look like to them, you know. And he always said he was tried to be very careful of that, making videos, making sure he didn't mess that up for them. And that's a really cool point. Like, you know, it really defines like how a person listens to a song. And I've actually thought about it. Like, man, you think about something and then you watch a video. It's like, well, that's not anything like I had them in my head, you know,
Right.
or how you interpret it, which can be a good and bad thing. You know, I guess if you do the video correctly and you're trying to prove a point, like Stapleton's Fire Away video, it's like, who cares what was in my head? That was a beautiful, beautiful, intelligent video, you know, that needed to be done. So, I don't know. I just try really hard with songs to let people interpret them. You know, Day of the Dead was written by Keith Gattis. And he brought it to me and said, I think you should help me finish this. I was like, finish what? It's finished. I'm not going to touch this thing. There's nothing else. Don't be a smart ass, you know. And but it's funny, like, I had my interpretation because, you know, and at this point, it's the only song on the record I didn't write. So I'm listening to it months later after the record's out. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, is this person already dead? Mm-hmm. And so I asked Gattis, I said, have I been singing this the whole time thinking somebody else? And he just responded, he goes, it's whatever you want it to be. And that's a pretty cool way to look at it. You're like, man, some people could interpret that as he's already dead, being a ghost looking into it. And then others could think he's literally just heartbroken.
Right. Yeah. I love the idea of just like songs being, they can be both. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no necessarily wrong answer on what somebody's trying to put in a song. Obviously, like, there's lines that mean three different things, and like, you meant those three different things. And then sometimes, like, you know, somebody will point out, like, oh, well, this could also mean that too, and the artist goes, yeah, I meant to do that. You know, like,
yeah,
with a wink. You know,
like Ryan Adams, I think he messes with. Honestly, I would love to ask him sometime. I think he messes with the listener on purpose. Mm-hmm. You listen to some of his lyrics and you're like, man, what the hell is he talking about? But it's really cool, you know? And I think a lot of times he's sitting there thinking, man, I'm going to make this very abstract and like, you know, where people don't quite understand it.
Yeah. I think
pretty cool.
Early in his solo career, he probably cared too much about, like, you know, critics, and he wanted to be bigger. And at some point he just stopped caring about what was going to be written and just started caring about the music more. Mm-hmm. And of course, like, all those records are great. Yeah. I was going to go back. You mentioned Garth Brooks. I get, like, why Garth isn't on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. But one of the bad things about that is, like, he doesn't have any of his music videos on YouTube. And the Red Strokes is like do you remember that music video?
Yeah, that's a great video.
That was like the best video.
Where he came out of the paint or whatever.
Yeah. I heard that. Like, I've read the Wikipedia page about how much money that was. Like, that was just like more money than you can.
Like how they lowered him in there.
Yeah.
How to keep his eye open, right?
Yeah, it's like the paint. Apparently the paint was really, really cold. They had stored it outside. So it was like 50-degree paint, and the first day, like, it knocked the wind out of them, you know, because it's so cold. And so, like, the next day they mixed it with water and, like, mud or something like that, and that's like it warmed it up somehow, because obviously crazy. Like, you're putting other stuff in it, but like it made it so much better. But, like, I don't know, it was
he had some cool videos, man. I mean, he challenged his career quite a bit. You know, he didn't ever settle. He still, I don't know if he really does. He doesn't really settle. He works hard. I see him on them Facebook Live, whatever the hell he's doing all the time. Like, man, that guy's like works harder than me and pisses me off. You know, he's always working his ass off. So,
yeah, I think he's.
And then there's somebody like George Strait who just sitting around drinking scotch and playing golf and just having a blast. You know, it's like either one, man. I'll take either one. You know,
right?
It's pretty funny.
I think Garth always gets like a bad rap as a songwriter, because or as an artist, because a lot of those songs he was writing with, like, he co-wrote a whole bunch of his songs, and, like, has some deep cuts that I fucking love.
Oh, I love Garth, man. I think he's actually, and when I was like, I want to say I was 13, maybe 12 or 13 years old, I liked his music a lot, and some friends took me to meet him, and he was the coolest guy. We got to hang backstage during sound check in the green room and stuff, because they were real close friends with him, and he could not have been a nicer guy. Of course, after that, I'm a 12, 13-year-old kid. I just thought he was I thought he was the coolest son of a bitch to ever walk the planet at that time, you know. And when we hung out with him for like an hour, you know, just bullshitting with Garth at 12, 13 years old. I mean, I've always had a lot of respect for him, and what he's done in his career. Like he's always, taken some chances and gone for it and gone swing for the fences and struck out just as much as he's hit home runs. So it was pretty cool. I admire somebody like that. Same with Springsteen. I'm a huge Springsteen fan, and I'd say I love Garth, but when you talk about influences, who actually influences your particular music, I mean, I don't know if you've read Springsteen's book, The Born to Run, but it's just like, wow, what a great thing for me to be able to read that and know finally admit all his faults and all the things that he has,
right,
all his problems and things that he's done wrong and right in his life. And man, I mean, during the time when I was on vocal rest, I'm like reading this book, just soaking it all up, going, okay, I'm going to be okay. He's just as messed up as me,
Right.
Pretty cool.
That's one of the things that I try and, I guess, like, tell people is that there is a difference between like liking an artist and like saying somebody influences you. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more artists that you like than that are actually been influential on someone's career. There's a little bit of difference there. But yeah, Springsteen, like I think like one of the things that we always talk about songwriters being vulnerable, being really putting out their feelings there. But like him admitting a lot of, battles with depression and stuff like that. I think that's like it's only a good thing for other people to see that like somebody like that can
sure
admit
somebody as strong as
about,
him that's never really discussed it very much.
Yeah.
He's always kept it under the table, for sure.
But
it was very, very comforting for me to hear that from him. And he even says it at the end of the book, like,
right,
I wanted to do all this for other people so they could understand they're not alone. And all that we've been through here recently and everything, it really, really helped a lot to hear all of the stuff that he's gone through and how messed up his mind is at times too. And he always found a way to get through it, seek help when you needed it and those things. And it's pretty cool to hear.
Yeah. Obviously, like you worked with Keith on this record. You've talked about how, he pushed you as a songwriter, write the best songs you ever have, and that kind of thing. What
Makes
was
me tired thinking about it now.
Like that also pushed you in writing with a lot of different new people. What is it like writing with people that you've not worked with before? It's
a little nervous because it's either going to work or it's not. You can't force it, and you try to get in the room with people that respect that and don't try to wear it out, like if there's people I love and get along with and we can't write songs for shit together, and there's people that I may not be the best of friends with, but I can get in the room and write great songs with them, it's a weird thing. It's no different from people you're attracted to and people you aren't. It has nothing to do really with how good looking they are, it's people you choose to be friends with, and there's no rhyme or reason. Some people click and some people don't. It's the same exact thing with songwriting. And I think, I say for this record I did that, but, I've really done it with every record, tried to get in the room and surround myself with new people, different people, just because I've been really hard on myself about not making the same record over and over, not making one that I've done before. And I think you can... there's part of you as an artist that's just going to come out naturally, no matter how different you try to be. Or I've written songs that I think are so weird and quirky and messed up sounding, and then I'll play it for my friends, and they're like, sounds like a Wade Bowen song. I'm like, well, shit, I guess okay. And so it's, I think there's only so much you can do to really change, unless you just go a completely different direction. But keeping that in mind, just over the years, I've really still tried hard to just make records that sound unique to that album, and not just follow a pattern.
Yeah.
And so that was, I just kind of followed Keith's lead on this whole record. I mean, I admit I was really lost when I went to him. He was a friend in many, many ways. He'd been a friend of mine for a long time, but being as close as we were, and him kind of knowing it, feeling that I was lost as a songwriter, lost as an artist. I didn't really know what my next step was going to be, and I didn't like that feeling because I always feel like I have a pretty good plan of what's going to come, what the next years are going to look like, you know.
Right.
And I didn't know because I'd had the world handed to me with being on the major record deal and the major publishing deal, and I had the dream situation, the dream scenario that every person that becomes an artist wants to have. You know, I had it right there in my hands, and it just didn't work. It was awful timing all the way around from both ends. And so I came out of that situation, and I had enough steam from all of that to make the self-titled album, the Wade Bowen self-titled album. But then after that, it was like, well, it's all out of my system now. What do I do?
Right.
What am I going to do now? How's my career going to unfold now? Like, what am I even going to have one? Like, what's going to happen? All these things start running through your head. So Keith came along not only as a great producer, but just a friend at a time when I really needed someone to just kind of grab me by the shoulders and say, hey, dude, slap me across the face and say, here, I'm about to show you why you're good. Here you go. Believe in yourself. You're good. It's fine. And really opened up my eyes again back to what I feel now is back with my head on straight now. And of course, it's crazy. I got my head on straight and started feeling good, and then my voice goes out on me. So it's been a mind fuck of a year and a half for sure, man. But I still feel confident in what I've got going on the next few years and where I'm at in my career. And I feel really good. Really good about everything.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but like, you know, you've been putting out a bunch of, especially like this last, I don't know, 5 years. I would really consider like self-titled, obviously like Hold My Beer, the gospel record, this last record, and then you had like the Alive Hold My Beer in there too. Mm-hmm. I think like that's a hell of a run right there, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think like the songwriting in there is the best you've done.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I just think I've gotten older. I mean, I really, you know, during that time I was with Sony, I really did work harder as a songwriter than I ever had. I was getting some really great opportunities because of being on a major label. You know, you get in the room with guys that you probably wouldn't get to normally. And that's how, you know, became buddies with Stapleton and Jeremy Spillman and Lee Thomas Miller and these other guys that, you know, you find yourself in the room with these guys that you probably wouldn't have that chance otherwise. So I got to really just soak it up and be a sponge, and I wasn't stupid about it. I knew I had some opportunities. I didn't take it for granted, and I just tried to learn and tried to embrace it. And, you know, I'm in a writer's drought right now, but all that I've learned, I know I'll come out of it. And whenever I'm better when I'm under pressure. So whenever I say I'm going to have a new record, is when I start writing like crazy. It's funny how my mind works that way. But, yeah, I feel like I appreciate you saying that because I feel like I've been, you know, doing trying my best to put out quality music with substance that it's not just about parties and not just about drawing the biggest crowds. I just, you know, I try to make myself understand that a record is forever.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure everybody takes that into consideration when they go in to make an album. So I really want these records to stand the test of time when my kids are having kids, you know, and
right.
For it to be relevant. You know, Rodney Foster had his best record still to this day is See What You Want to See. It was one of my favorite records of all time. And, you know, what was it, 18 years later, he had a number one off that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's like that's what I feel like I want to happen. Like, I want some young kid to come along and, man, he's making great stuff, you know, back in those days. And I still think I got a long way to go too. Like I got some cool stuff up my sleeve that I'm kind of pumped and excited about, and just keep this thing going, as long as I can.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to play 20 years, man. I mean, that's more than most can say. So I've beat the odds already, right? Now it's just icing on the cake.
Yeah. I know like one of the songs, I can't think what his name is. He's not a songwriter. I was going to say songwriter. Journalist. He's got like the 5 album test. And like, it's like the premise of like if you make 5 great records, you're like a legendary status kind of thing. And you got the 5 records. You got the.
I've never heard that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I can't think of what his name is.
That's relative though, isn't it? Like to the listener, because I'm sure there's people that think this artist made 5 great records, and I would go, those are terrible records. But I get what you're saying. Like 5 great albums is hard. I think 1 great album is hard. One album that just your Life of the Party Charlie Robson record, or your, I don't know, Born to Run record, or whatever. Like, it's hard to have that.
Right.
If you can have 5 of those, you definitely should be winning the game.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, Hold My Beer with Randy was a big record.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Volume 1. What's is there any works?
Man, actually, we're writing for Volume 2 right now, and I think we've got a pretty good batch of songs, and we're going back in February to record some, see how it goes with Lloyd. That thing it's so unique to itself, so it's different. We both can't say we're going in February and we're going to have the record out in the summer, because having 2 careers that we have to work around, we're not even sure if the record will get done. We've already attempted to make Volume 2 twice, and things have fallen apart. So I know that it's been talked about, and we're definitely going to do one. And I really hope that it looks like this one's going to stick. And I think Lloyd is the great guy, the right guy for us. He gets it and understands what we're doing. And it's a fun project to be a part of, because it's really, I get to hang out with a buddy and we all just relax and make music. And secondly, it's really country, and I love doing that, like stuff. I'd always said, man, I really always wanted to make a really, really, really country album. And this one is not quite what I had in mind, but it's closer to it, So it's like an alter ego for me. I got an alter ego named Paul, and Randy's is, I think we call him Oscar the Grouch. But it's kind of the way it is, man. We get to just, it's like not even fair how much fun we have doing this. Just go in there and be buddies and go and play these shows and just act like idiots. And and that's the whole stick. The stick is our friendship, and it works.
Right.
It's the same shit we do when we're hanging out at our houses back home. Like we don't do any act. There's no fake flip the switch and we're going to go on stage and act like Mo and Joe. It's it's the way we are, and I think that's what people like about it, the honesty of it all. And we're complete polar opposites of each other, the yin yang, and it works. So.
Right. Yeah. It would be a story if like you guys absolutely hated each other, but we've
had our moments
attached to the hip at this, like this was the
No, we've had our hate moments. It's like we're just like grumpy old men. Like we get grumpier the older we get, and when we're like 70, or if we make 60 or 70, we'll be just like the movies. The grumpy old men will be like Putz and Dickhead, and we're already kind of that way. We got in a fight a few years ago, and I had to slug him. I think he's the only person I've ever slugged. He took it well, though. The next night was the best show we've ever played in our lives, ironically. So he deserved it.
Yeah, I think we got to end it on that one. On that note.
Behind the scenes with Wade and Randy, troublesome too.
Yeah, well, thank you for.
Man, my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you for letting me chat for a while.